lockdown was taken as the sufficient alternative remedies already existed in Indian legal regime, since the family could deal with the issue per se. It was totally left upon the family themselves to resolve this issue on their own, and it was not addressed by the standing committee. Does it has not been brought up in the consideration of the legislature. So we can examine that these two reasons are the prime reasons why the standing committee are keeping out uh, of their purview, that why they are not criminalizing the marital rape as an offense in the Indian Penal Code. Even earlier in this year, Ministry of Homes and Affairs stated its view: the idea of the marital rape cannot be applied, right? Citing the reason that the mindset of the culture to see the marriage as the sacrament. In India, the marriage is always considered as a sacrament. It is considered as the a pious bond between the husband and the wife, and because of these reasons, the legislature is keeping out of the scene where they are disregarding the voice of criminalizing the marital rape as an offense. So, after this, let's come to the point of effect of marital rape and how the victim is victimized, and how what are the effects upon the victim. So we can see that the two the two most important effects needs to be addressed is the psychological effect, where the victim goes through the rape trauma syndrome, and the other is the health issue, that due to frequency of rape, the victim faces different health issues because of the frequency of the rape in the marriage. Now coming to the another point, status quo, need, demand, and its impact. The more studies have shown the negative impact of on health, intergenerational effect, and demographic. In the New India Express published the news report, according to the National Family Health Survey for 2015-16 report, over 5.4% of all the married women being aged between the 15 to 49 years admitted that means they have experienced sexual abuse by this means in their marriage, right? So the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare issues a report in the name of National Family Health Survey for in 2015 to 16, where the data is available that 5.4% of all the married women who are being aged between the 15 to 49 years, they have admitted that they are the victim of sexual abuse. They have been victimized in the marriage, and they have experienced sexual abuse in the marriage. Again, according to the latest report of the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, in National Family Health Survey 5, a report of 2019 to 21, the latest report highlighted the same, that 32% of the 18 to 49 years of age, they were victimized of the physical abuse, sexual abuse, and else. So we have the two data available from the website of the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, where it highlights that the women are being, even today, women are being victimized uh, of the sexual abuse, physical abuse, and different forms of domestic abuse. Even the Telegraph has also published its news report that 30% of the 610,000 women, they were physically or sexually abused by their spouse, and which accumulated, this data is means the accumulated data of the five states where these 610,000 women were surveyed, and 30% of them, they admitted the same, that they have been victimized uh, of the physical abuse or the sexual abuse. Even it was also reported that the state of Karnataka and Bihar, the data jumped to 44% in regards to the same. So all this data reflects the seriousness of the marital rape, the criminalization of the marital rape, and whether there is the need of means talking about it, criminalizing about it or not. Even today, the society has been started, although not in very full rhythm, but it has started. And the society has the society has been parted into two segments, right? One is taking the side of the women who are in support of criminalizing the marital rape, and other who are not in support of criminalizing the marital rape. So both sides are fighting for criminalizing the marital rape. Am I audible? Can anyone confirm?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So we were talking about that the debate has started and the society has been divided into two segments. One in support of the women who demands and who are in support of criminalizing the marital rape, and the other who are not in favor of criminalizing the marital rape. So what the pro women section of the society takes a stand, or they have the locus standi to in support of criminalizing the marital rape. Basically, the very first and foremost stand what they take is the about the individual autonomy. We all know, we all belong to legal fraternity somehow, or otherwise, even if we do not believe, but we certainly know, we have the knowledge and information that we are born with certain human rights or the fundamental rights which cannot be disregarded. That those fundamental rights upholds the individual autonomy. It upholds the liberty of anyone, any person, right? It gives the right to life to everyone who is born in India, and means it is available by the virtue of constitution. It is available to person, right? Even to non-citizens in some cases. So when we talk about the same, the very first instance which comes up is the individual autonomy, about the individual liberty. What I earlier discussed was about the same, that if one section of the society or few people are being blessed with the individual autonomy, liberty, and the right to life throughout his life, how can other section of the society would be disregarded in the same? Means how would they be disregarded for the same in against the manner in which one side is being blessed with the individual autonomy for whole of his life, and the other side is being asked to drop out or to leave their individual autonomy when it comes after the stage of marriage, right? So after the women gets married to a man, she becomes a married woman, and she means she feels that she is losing her individual autonomy in such sense where the marital rape or the uh, forceful sex is means done upon her by her husband, right? So the question of individual autonomy arises here automatically, and at the very first instance only, that the individual autonomy must not be disregarded, because it is not a means it is not a periodical right of a woman for a woman, and for a certain period of right, that after she is born till the date of her marriage, she is being blessed with every her right, or every her fundamental right, except the exception is created when she is means when she is married, and she becomes wife of any man, right? So the individual autonomy, and especially the article 21, it is the tank of rights. Article 21 is the tank of rights where the body integrity and the liberty, they cannot be disregarded and they cannot be snatched away by the action of the state or by the action of anyone, right? It is the very tank of the society, means tank of the rights, where the individual autonomy is superior, right, in the terms of life, in the terms of liberty and everything. So the very first the very first locus standi of the women who are in support of criminalizing the marital rape, it goes as with the supporting of individual autonomy, as it cannot be disregarded with the period of time when she gets married. Another thing that the women do not lose status, right? So what I meant here is that when the women and a man marries and means gets into a marriage connection or a marriage relationship, they both are on the equal footing, and they are not as such that they are, one is superior and one is inferior, or one is master or one is servant, but it is as such that they both have the status. They have the both they enjoy the equal status. They have the status which they had before the marriage and which cannot be disregarded after the marriage. It is not as such that after marriage women loses her status and she is freed with all her fundamental rights, but she has the equal status as the man have, as the husband have. And the thing is that article 14 talks about the same, about the equality, right? When we talk about the equality, even the protection of law is available to both of them. Even they are equal in the eyes of law in every sense. So no one can say that yes, women do not possess the status after the marriage, or they lose any status after the marriage, but it is true to state that they do not lose any status, but they are brought onto the equal footing, where means where either of the spouse cannot disregard any of the status to the same, right? The very third locus standi to support the stand of the women demanding the criminalization of the marital rape is the irrevocable consent, right? As addressed earlier, the irrevocable consent here means that the after the marriage, after marriage, it cannot be said that women have given the consent for the having the sexual relationship for eternity, but it is for a certain means it is for a you can say that it is momentous or for the moment it has been given, but it cannot be said or regarded for the whole of the life, that that giving the consent for a moment or for a time shall be there for the whole of the life. No, consent in terms of, even if we talk about the term of contract, it is always momentous, or it is subjected to certain period of time, or certain we can say the certain instances. Even appropriate is certain instances, not a period of time, but the certain instances where one explicitly, without any means without any forcefulness or the coercion, or under any means undue influence, the one exercises his consent. So the thing is that the irrevocable consent in the terms of marital rape is the third locus standi for the section of the society who supports the marital rape to be criminalized, right? So these are the three main points from the side of the women who demands the criminalization of the same. But but on the other side we have men's organization. It does not include men as a whole, but majority of them who are not in support of criminalizing the marital rape as an offense, right? So when we talk about their instance, when we talk about their stand instances and everything, they come up with basically two or three main grounds out of others. That one is about the misuse of the laws, right? So we have come around means across many such situations where we can where we know and where we have witnessed that the women means pro women legislations such as the domestic violence act or the dowry prohibition act or even the rape laws, they have been misused. They have been widely misused just to implicate someone into a false case, and to destroy his life, career, repo, whatever it is, right? There have been means many instances. So this is the very first stand, the locus standi of those people who are not in support of criminalizing the same, that it means there is no guarantee that it shall only be used for the benefit side of the instances, but it shall be misused heavily, as the pro women legislation such as domestic violence act, dowry prohibition act is being widely misused in the contemporary time, right? So this is the very first thing. The second point, why what they means the second point what they take as a locus standi for not uh, criminalizing the marital rape is the marriage as a means the sanctity of the marriage, right? The marriage as being pious, right? So marriage is always considered, means as earlier stated, and we know that in India marriage is considered as a sacrament in Hindu, although it is a form of a contract in the by the virtue of when we come across the every religion, we come to a certain point where we can say that marriage is always considered as pious bond between the husband and wife, and it is means it carries the value of sacredness with itself, right? So when one talks about the same, it he talks about the sexual establishment of the sexual relationship also. The section who are not in support of criminalizing the same is the same, that the marriage has the sacramental sanctity, and it must not be disregarded. If the marital rape is being criminalized, the sanctity of marriage will dissolve, and it shall not be means it shall not be pious for anymore, right? So these are broadly means apart from this, if we look at the point of the section of society who are in support of criminalizing the marital rape as an offense, they also take the two more stands. One to be the changing culture, that yes, we should talk about the taboos, that it needs to be addressed, and it must be resolved with the progressive time and progressive India. And the other stand is that the criminal liability, we can see that the rape is an offense, it is considered as a heinous offense, and it is a crime against the whole society, right? So when it comes to the marital rape, although it is confined into a certain relationship of husband and wife, it must not be disregarded in such sense where the criminal liability of a will be erased out of this commission of offense, but the criminal liability must be exposed, so that if someone even thinks to eradicate or to erase the individual autonomy of his wife, then in such situations, though the criminal liability means exposed upon him, be levied upon him, and he must be punished for the same, right? So these are the means broad instances supported in support of criminalization of the marital rape, and in not criminalization of the marital rape as an offense. What women have right in the Indian legislation, in the Indian legal system, and in the Indian legislations being enacted by the parliament, uh, they are means they can be categorized as under Constitution of India, uh, starting with the Article 14, where it talks about the rule of law, where it talks about the equality, where it talks about the reasonability, right? So the women are equal, and they are on the equal footing of means to the husband in the marriage relationship also. The Article 14 is granted. Article 21. Article 21, it broadly talks about the right to life and personal liberty, and it is inclusive in nature. What I mean to say that it does not just it is not just constrained to the aspect of right to life or the personal liberty itself, but it includes such other rights which are also the part of the human rights, which are the parts of the human rights, which are the part of the fundamental rights, right? So we can learn the perspective of the of the sexual privacy, that even the women have the right of sexual privacy. the bodily integrity. The women in the even after the marriage, they have the right of bodily integrity, and which must not be disregarded. It is a part of Article 21, and it must be safeguarded by the state too, and which imposes the liability, and it imposes the onus upon the government of this democracy, of this republic, to look at this situation and to bring such welfare legislations or the provisions of law which establishes itself as a welfare scheme for the women even after the marriage. After this, we have IPC, not generally for every married woman, but in respect of those married women who have been granted with judicial separations by the judicial separation in the divorce cases, and she is being means living separately with her husband, and their husband cannot exercise any forceful sex upon his wife. Because they are not living together, they have been separated, and thus it imposes liability under section 376A of the Indian Penal Code, right? So, and after this, we have the Domestic Violence Act. Although it does not criminalizes the marital rape, but it gives a ground for the cruelty, because the cruelty, on the ground of cruelty, a divorce can be filed. The ground of cruelty can be the ground to seek divorce. So, under the Domestic Violence Act, we have, and apart from this, we have certain international laws or convention in favor of the women too. Even the UDHR, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, it gives certain rights to both the man and the women in respect of their fundamental right. Apart from this, we have UN Declaration on Elimination of Violence Against Women. Even this convention imposes certain rights upon the women and duties for the state to incorporate within their domestic laws. Apart from this, we have Beijing Declaration too. So these are some means these are some key areas which need to be discussed while we discuss about the marital rape. But now is means going through the judicial activism and the legislative activism. While discussion, we shall come across few instances where, if we talk about the legislative activism, the legislature is not so active in regarding or disregarding the marital rape as a criminal offense, right? Means they are not means time for times and time they have addressed it as a issue which may be solved by the family per se, or it may not be regarded because of the sanctity of the marriage. Means in totality, if we conclude the ground of the government, the democracy, the republic, they are keeping themselves out of this issue for now. They are not either accepting or denying the same. If we talk about the judicial activism, we find that judiciary has means the Indian judicial system has been means active in granting the rights and talking about the same. The Indian judiciary is not so hesitant in talking about the same. For example, in the Madhu Kishore versus the state of Bihar in 1996, Supreme Court has uh, means reiterated that half of the population is women. They have always been discriminated and have suffered and have been suffering discrimination in silence. This is one of the most important judgment in my view, where the social status of women is being reflected by the action of the judiciary itself. That the judiciary itself, the Indian judiciary itself, is accepting and is of the view that the half of the population is in great distress and they are suffering discrimination in silence. In the case of Madhu Kishore versus State of Bihar 1996 case. Apart from this, uh, in the recent judgments, in the recent cases, we can go through the judgment, means the order of the Karnataka High Court. In the case of, uh, first of all, we can go through the case of the Kerala, the Rishikesh Sau versus the state of Kerala. My mistake, sorry. It is Rishikesh Sahu versus State of Karnataka, clubbed with Mrs. XXXXX versus State of Karnataka. Here, the honorable court was considered the purview of the integrity and bodily freedom of the woman, the wife being ravaged by the husband. And the Karnataka High Court, after this, the husband made an appeal in the Honorable Supreme Court of India, where the Supreme Court of India ordered for keeping the judgment or order of the Honorable Karnataka High Court in action. Apart from this, we have come across few other cases and recent instance where the split judgment has been passed by the Honorable Delhi High Court. The case was of Red Foundation versus Union of India, Khushbu Shafi versus Union of India and other, All India Democratic Women's Association versus Union of India, and Farhan versus State of and State and another. Right. These all four cases were clubbed together, and it was and Delhi High Court, Honorable Delhi High Court, uh, passed its judgment, split judgment in one in the means split judgment in this case. There were two justices. The bench comprises of two justices, one being the Honorable Justice Shri Hari Shankar and another Honorable Justice Rajiv Shankar. These two honorable justices, they passed the split judgment. Shri Hari Shankar strike down the marital rape exception and created new offense. Justice Sankar was in favor of striking down the exception clause of the marital rape, and by this way, the new offense shall be created. That means the marital rape shall be created as an offense. And Honorable Justice Rajiv Shakdar, he was of the opinion of not striking down the exception of marital rape, as it shall be means it shall not be creating any new offense, and as such. So basically, this split judgment was then referred to the Honorable Supreme Court, where the Supreme Court shall be entertaining and giving its verdict upon the same, and its verdict shall be binding upon all courts of India. So we can see with these instances that the judicial system of India is active, although the issue is not being addressed by the Indian legislature, but the Indian judicial system is addressing the same by the virtue of its order. The Honorable Karnataka High Court has also means in the case of Rishikesh Sahu, the court ordered for registering the a FIR and under the a purview of rape, which was then challenged in the Supreme Court by the husband himself, and the Supreme Court denied from staying the order of the Honorable Karnataka High Court. So we have many instances which has already proved that yes, the Indian judicial system is active in granting the rights, and now the Indian legislature shall also be means a little active in addressing the issue of the same. So by this way, that when we talk about the marital rape reform, the demand, the need, and the possibilities under the criminal justice system is highlighted. But one of the major aspect which also needs to be addressed is the matter of evidence, that whether how it would be means possible to prove or disprove the marital rape which is happening between the husband and wife in a room, right? We have the concept of privacy. Their spouse enjoys the privacy right, right? So when it comes, the major ground taken by the men's society, men's organization who are in support of not criminalizing the marital rape as an offense, is that how will they prove that whether the consent was willful or it was forceful, or it was forcefully taken, right? So this is one of the main aspect of the evidence law, that how it is going to be entertained when the marital rape, if it is criminalized and the cases are being brought up uh, before the court of law, right? So this is one such area also where the men's organization are not in support to criminalize the same. If we go through the practicality and the same, we can even feel that the the evidential part, while commission of the offense or addressing the same in before the court of law, it would be quite difficult even for the women and for the husband also, that to either to prove or disprove the willful consent was there or not, or it was a revocable consent, or it was there was no consent and it was totally a forceful sexual relationship being established by the husband upon the women. So major trouble would be faced by the men's section, because the burden of proof always lies upon the prosecution in the criminal law. And even in the rape law, it would be difficult for both the parties to establish the same in the court of law, because the court of law does not entertain the facts, but it entertains the evidences. Entertains the evidences and it passes the order, and its ratio decidedly is totally based upon the evidences and availability of the same. So with all these things, the marital rape reforms, the need, why is it there is a need to implement the same, or why it is not means why there is a demand for the same, and what is the possibility under the criminal justice system, is addressed by me. So now I am moving towards few of the questions which has been asked by the participants while registering for the webinar. They one of the students, they say one of the students say about the strict punishment. Even in the whole of the discussion we have gone through, that rape is no means rape is a heinous crime, and therefore the marital rape should also be discussed throughout our discussion. So yes, there I believe that there should be strict punishment in the same. The second question, even when proved forced sex on the part of the husband, why is it not termed as rape? Is consent not required when two parties are married? Already addressed. It is not regarded as rape till now, because it has not been addressed by the legislature as the same. Or we can hope that after the Supreme Court's verdict, we shall be, if the court passes its order or and judgment in the favor of criminalizing the same, we can be able to say the same. So let's hope upon the evaluation by the honorable justices as an honorable Supreme Court, and the fine sense of the legislature as what they cite and how they evaluate the same. The third one is, why can't marital rape be considered as illegal? The same reply to this question. What steps should be taken to criminalize the offense of marital rape? This is a very good question, which because I considered it as a part of awareness too. The thing is, for example, when we take about the rights of the LGBT, it the once the it was decriminalized, the same sex was decriminalized on the basis that it was being discussed and people were getting aware. So the major lacking is about the awareness. So when the women, especially the women section of the society, they are discussing the same, or they are being aware with the same concept, and that yes, they are being victimized and these are the reasons, or they are free to express their views upon the same, that they are being harassed or they are being victimized in this whole scenario of the marriage. They are being victimized of the sexual abuse. Then in such situations, it would be helping the whole women fraternity to highlight the same, and to regard this easily as one of the crimes, right? Right of married man and women, there are numbers of right of men and women, but basically we would be focusing upon the right of means equality, as they both are equal in the eyes of laws too, in their religion also, and in custom also. So what basically they have to perform is that they cannot make themselves superior from other or the master of other in any sense. They have to be on equal footing. They have to enjoy their conjugal right in a very fine sense and a very good sense. So what are the new judicial interpretation of this concept? Already addressed. What is the legal status of marital rape in India? Already is, addressed. It is not yet criminalized, but it is pending before the honorable court. I want to know more about the marital rape. Is it a crime or an legal exception? Till now, till today, and till the further judgment comes or the legislature acts upon the same, it is an exception for now. Marital abuse section protection trauma health mental stability, we have discussed about the same. The latter part of this question, the trauma mental stability and all are the part of the effect of the marital rape upon the women. People's view on the consent of women, is asking your partner permission a crime? Asking for consent is not a crime. That is the very prime aspect, especially in the bond of marriage. Importance of consent, we have discussed. What if she withdraw the consent after the sex is done? This is the major question, which where we discussed about the evidential part in the very last section of our discussion. That what means, what if she withdraws the consent after the sex is done? And that is the loophole or the gray area which we have to fill up with the alternative, to bring that the women, even if she denies the same, it is not, it truly reflects the thing that if it was regarded or it was disregarded at the time, of the establishing the sexual relationship between the husband and wife. What is the legal status of marital rape in India? Again, it has been addressed. Marital rape should be gender biased. Marital rape should be gender biased. This is a question. We cannot say at this point of time, because if we go through the gender biasness or if we go to the gender neutrality, it is a huge discussion. But for this moment, we have a lot of instances to prove, to believe that yes, if we talk about the women section of the society, they have been harassed, they have been victimized from a very long time ago, and the real cases cannot be, means they cannot be hide behind the scenes where of the gender neutrality thing or in any other aspects. What is the legal status of marital rape in India? Already then, what is, will it ever be criminalized? Obviously, it can be by the way of legislation and by the stand of the court if the court finds it relevant at the time of its evaluation. And it is still pending, so we can't explicitly comment upon this. We can share our views, but we cannot. But we have to wait till the court finally gives its verdict about the same. Whether it is fair to forcefully make physical relationship with anybody, be it a man or woman. No. Why traditional culture always disrespect to those who get out from the toxic marriage, wants to live life according to them? Is it only women who should follow all the rules? No. Going through the questions, I can find that many of the aspects have already been addressed in the discussion about the article violating of the article 21, or the means this, or whether it should be criminalized or not, and as such. So I hereby conclude from my side. If anybody has any question in regard to the marital rape, uh, we can go through it for now. Chaishma, can you please take the lead? Chaishma is not here for now. Guys, if anybody of you has any question, we can address the same over here. If I am audible to you, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So we have come to an end upon the part of my discussion, and